Music is powerful. It can change our mood, it can convey complex emotions and mental states, and just generally can have a big impact on our state of mind. Now, the details of this impact are complicated and depends a lot on the individual, affected by a bunch of factors including culture and personal experience. But today, let's put aside all that complicated stuff and talk about binaural beats and the claim that they can rather directly change brainwaves to affect mood and behavior. I want to go over the basic idea, and then I'll show you how easy they are to put together in pure data with just 5 objects. First, let's talk about the beats here. These beats aren't referring to drum beats, but rather an acoustic phenomenon that, when we play 2 frequencies that are close to each other, the 2 waveforms create patterns of constructive and destructive interference that make it sound like that tone is pulsing, beating. The rate of this beating is the difference between the 2 frequencies. So if I have a frequency at 440 Hz and one at 448 Hz, the beating will happen at 8 Hz, 8 times per second. You'll often hear this effect in wind chimes, and it's also built into Balinese gamelan music. In Balinese gamelan, the ensemble is made up of paired instruments, tuned to a specific frequency away from each other. And every note on every pair of instruments beats at the same rate, contributing to this shimmering sound of the ensemble, called Ombak. Each gamelan ensemble has its own Ombak frequency, but each ensemble has a distinct Ombak from each other. And this Ombak is generally between 6 Hz and 10 Hz. I'll link some examples of Balinese performances in the description, but for now, let's move over to binaural beats. The concept here is the same, but since it's binaural, one frequency goes in one ear, and one frequency goes in the other. The idea here is that this difference frequency, this beating, will happen inside your head, and that this will entrain your brainwaves. Brainwave entrainment is the hypothesized capacity of the brain to naturally synchronize its brainwave frequencies with the periodic rhythms of external stimuli. And binaural beats, the periodic rhythm of that beating, is one way to attempt this. Okay, neat. So looking at this chart, if I have 2 frequencies that beat in the theta range, 4 to 8 Hz, maybe I can entrain myself into a state that's creative or meditative. If I'm in the gamma range, 32 to 100 Hz, then maybe I can entrain myself to a state of heightened perception. Now, if you're skeptical, me too. The science isn't there either. There are some experiments that actually show that you can create these brainwaves, sometimes. But to my knowledge, nothing's proven that this entrainment, this creation of those brainwaves, actually affects one's mental state. That, of course, hasn't stopped trends like iDosing or CDs claiming to sell authentic binaural beats, and other products that claim they use binaural beats to help you stop smoking, etc. As with most pseudoscience, there's a drop of science in there, but it's taken way beyond what's been empirically proven. I'll throw some links in the description below if you want to look into it more, but let's move over to pure data. Okay, so if all of this is dubious, why am I bothering going through it? Well, let's put aside the pseudoscience, and we can engage with binaural beats as just an interesting musical idea. It's not hurting anyone, unless you're wasting money on products with false claims, and we could even say that perhaps binaural beats could be used as a musical aesthetic. That and, again, if I can stop any of you from spending money on snake oil by teaching you how to get the oil yourself, all the better. I'm not looking to start any fights. If you do binaural beats and they make you feel good, that's great. But just be sure that you're thinking critically about it and really examining the sources that are claiming to give you information on the topic. So let's start by just turning on my sound here. And again, I promise to do this in 5 objects. So command 1, OSC tilde. That's an oscillator. Let's set it going at 600 Hz. Again, that's a sine wave oscillator, so that's a single frequency. Command 1, multiply tilde 0.1. This is just to bring down the amplitude. And so now it's 1/10 the maximum volume instead of the maximum volume. And then command 1, DAC tilde. There we go. Okay. I'm going to disconnect that for just 1 second. So now all we need to do is Command D. And now instead of this being 600, we choose a frequency that we want to entrain, theoretically. Okay, so if I set that to 606, now this is 6 hertz away. I send that one to the right, send this one to the left. And now we have some binaural beats. Okay. Once we have the binaural beats, we could do something like this. We could put these behind some trance music. Okay, I don't know if you feel entrained yet, but let's stop this for just a second. Okay, that's pretty easy. Let's just think about this a little bit. We can make a few little tinkers to this. One is we could set a number here, and so now we could send in the frequency that we want our base frequency to be, and then we can just take this and go Command 1 plus 6. And so now, if I wire this back up, 700. And then I can duplicate this number, and I could make this the entrainment frequency, right? So let's say I want this to be 30 to do some different types of waves. I don't know what those are. Gamma waves. Gamma sounds right. $12. I'm gonna add a volume control there just because I'm tired of not being able to turn them off. Okay. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Now, I'd probably want to clean this up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. But here's our binaural beat generator. I'm just gonna label this one bass freak. So while I'm at it, let's add some solfeggio tones. Now, as far as I can gather, solfeggio tones are just a complete fabrication. If I'm wrong, please hit me up in the comments, but bring citations and make sure they're from a page that's not also trying to sell you something. According to the internet, the worst phrase ever uttered, solfeggio tones were introduced by a Benedictine monk, Guido d'Arezzo, who is a real person, again, a grain of truth in our pseudoscience. But these frequencies were lost in the 16th century until this guy rediscovered them in the 1970s. Anyway, any early music scholars out there watching my videos want to weigh in? I'll leave that there. So anyway, super disclaimer here. Unlike entrainment through binaural beats, which has some reputable people exploring it, no one is doing experiments to explore solfeggio tones. These tones supposedly have healing properties. Once again, not trying to pick a fight here. If you're into these things and they make you feel good, perhaps there's no harm done. Just don't try to sell them as evidence-based products. Anyway, it's easy to produce these frequencies in pure data, so why not give it a shot? Let's make them like chimes. So once again, let's make some oscillators, and I'm going to have to look up these frequencies. Pardon me one moment. Okay, I just stole these frequencies from another patch. Now these don't have to be binaural, they don't have to be anything. Again, the claim is that these frequencies are just good for you. So, by the way, if you listen to white noise has all the frequencies in it. And so if you're worried that you're not getting the right frequencies, just wash yourself in white noise every day. Please don't at me about that. Okay, so let's start by multiplying this by 0, and I'll say why I'm doing by 0 in just a second. In order to do this, let's do our throws again. So we're going to throw to the left and right. And then catch. So these are just a way of me sending multiple audio signals to the same place, right? So I can send all of my audio to this DAC without having multiple DACs or wires that go everywhere. So just to show that this works, right? So that's working. Back to 0. So now I can take this one and let's throw this to the left and the right. So I could take this if I wanted to. Bink. Put one. Okay, so that's working. Turn that off. All right, but instead of doing that, let's set them up with some envelopes. These out, multiplications for all of these. Clean up my wires in just a sec here. Select all these. Start my line, hold down shift, bink. Start my line, hold down shift, bink. Okay. So now what we need is we need an envelope for all of these. So let's make something that's going to generate some envelopes for us. So we're going to make something that sends an envelope for each of those. So I'm just going to start by prepping this receive envelope 1, envelope 2, and for each of these 6 notes, they're going to need an individual envelope because we're going to want to send them as separate chimes here. Now, of course, you could have each of one of these be binaural beats in themselves, right? So we could send 2 frequencies there to each one, but maybe we'll save that for another day. 5, 6. Okay, so now let's go up here and we'll go Shift Command T for a toggle. Command 1, we'll do a metro, and we'll do it once every 4 seconds to begin with here. Shift Command B to put down a bang. And then we'll have this metro every 4 seconds. Command 1, choose a random number from 0 to 5. So 6 there, one less than that number. Command 3 to just show which number we're picking each time. Command 1 for a select that can select based on those numbers and send it to different places. Nice and long there. Shift Command B. Now let's build our envelope. I'm going to do this in a very simple way. I'm going to do it with a line. Command 1, line. Initial argument is the initial value is 0. And then let's do the time scale. So let's do, I'll do 1 millisecond. That might even be too much, but let's not worry about that for the moment. And then, so we want this bang to send a message, Command 2, of go to value 0.2 over 10 milliseconds. Okay. So if I do Command 3 at the bottom of this line, we can see that. And then I want to take this and I'm on the bang now. I go Command 1 and I'll do a delay to delay that bang for a total of 20 milliseconds. And then after 20 milliseconds, once that envelope's gotten to the top, Command D, we will set it to go back to 0 over 4 seconds. Okay. So now I'm going to stop the metro for a second. Watch when I bang this. It goes up. And then slowly comes back down. Okay, let's see if this works. So we'll go command 1, send to on 1. All right, that sounds like it's working. Make it look nice because we're going to duplicate it. Lose this friend. And D. Hook it up. This one is going to go to envelope 2. And D. Envelope 3. Envelope 4. Let's start this rolling. Command D. Envelope 5. Envelope 6. Now, the regularity of that isn't so nice. So what I sometimes do is I make this a random timed metro. So if I go, again, this is an idea I'm sure I've stolen from somebody, but command 1, let's choose a random number from 0 to 6,000, and then we'll send that random number into this, which is the length of that metro. So again, if we want to monitor that, command 3. Let's add our binaural beats back in. And now what we're missing is some white noise. I'm just going to steal this. And then we'll make command 1, noise, white noise generator, times tilde 0.1 to make it quieter. LOP, low pass filter. Let's do it at 400 hertz for the moment. Let's take our left and right. Start dragging, hold shift. And then we can have this select a number between 0 and 79. Add 50 to it. And MIDI to frequency for our filter. Let's make this go through a line. So I'm going to do a message $1 over 4,000 milliseconds. Oops, I forgot the most important thing, which is the line. There we go. So okay, here's our complete healing meditation music generator. And since it's all made in Pure Data Vanilla, you can easily turn this into an app for phones and make millions selling it. Just be sure to give me a cut. Seriously though, have some fun with this experiment, but use your critical thinking. It's easy to convince yourself that, oh yeah, I think I feel it. And it's significantly harder to prove that in an empirical way. So much so that it hasn't been done yet. Maybe at some point, binaural beats will be proven as effective beyond a reasonable doubt, and we'll be using them in all kinds of medical treatments. But until then, just have fun and beware of people asking for money for promises they can't keep.